follow up.
That is.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Rosen, please.
Thank you, Chairman Reed. Thank you for holding this hearing. I want to thank the witnesses for testifying today, and I especially want to offer Secretary Raven and his staff my personal gratitude. You worked with me and the whole Nevada delegation on a consensus proposal to modernize the Fallon Range Training Complex, and it was included in the FY23 NDAA, and we are grateful. And I just want to add that I agree with Senator Duckworth. Of course, most of our offices employ veterans, but I am proud to employ a few reservists. And what it has added to our team is they get to serve their country in both ways, here in the Senate and in the military. It is terrific, and I'm very proud of that. So I'm all for the reserve. But I want to talk a little bit about the impact of housing on recruitment and retention, because in addition to answering the call to serving our country, men and women enlist in the military to build their skills, learn a trade, set themselves up for success, both during and after their service. But it's no secret to many recruits that support mechanisms that they're promised at the time of enlistment are not always in place at their time of service. And so Secretary Jones, junior enlisted service members, including airmen stationed at Nevada's Nellis Air Force Base, they're averaging only 12 months in our barracks or dormitories before they're being forced to move off base and into expensive private housing in the Las Vegas market. And there's an on-base housing shortage. And so I'm pleased to have worked with DoD to update their joint travel regulations so that these troops now receive partial dislocation allowance, so they're no longer forced to cover all their rental deposits and moving costs before they begin receiving their basic allowance for housing. So, Secretary Jones, can you confirm to me that our junior enlisted are now receiving their partial dislocation allowance to cover their deposits and moving costs? I had roundtable after roundtable. This was very distressing to the young men and women and causing them to go into debt or other avenues to cover that.
Senator, I'll have to get back to you on that specifically. I do understand the issue. I'll actually be going out to Nellis in the next 2 weeks to see that area personally, but I'll get back to you on whether that's already in place.
Well, good. When you're there, I want you to let's talk about how we address the housing shortage at Nellis. It's a crown jewel of the Air Force, and we want to have people there. And I think it has a negative impact on recruitment and retention as our young service members tell others that they can't afford to, they can't stay on the base, and they're having issues moving off the base. So I'm disappointed that there's no housing request in the FY24 budget request, but let's, I hope we can continue to work on that and maybe modify that. I'm going to move on, and let's see. Well, my clock is broken, so I have to look over here, Mr. Chairman. Everyone's talking about competing for a talented workforce. It's a acute challenge, like Senator Shaheen said, in the private service, in public service, military service, private industry, all of that. And the 2022 National Defense Strategy places individuals at the forefront of our ability to maintain a credible deterrent. And so to recruit and retain the most talented Americans, we believe we must reform, obviously, how we do business, and part of this reform requires DoD to fill specific technology gaps, including cyber, data, artificial intelligence domains. And so I have a few bills out there for civilian cybersecurity reserve and other things, whether it's in DHS or here in the Department of Defense. But to each of you, can you address the specific steps that you're taking to look at targeting those skills for a workforce so we can recruit that talent?
I'll start, Senator. Just really quickly, we are doing greater outreach with soldiers and civilians who have expertise in these areas to do more outreach to colleges, universities across the country and find and establish talent pipelines. The second thing I'll say is that we're reinforcing those efforts on the civilian side by instituting in the Army a cyber-accepted workforce that enables us to use much more flexible hiring authorities. The idea is let's build the team together of people that are ambassadors for this critical capability in the Army.
Thank you, Senator, and your leadership on the Fallon Range expansion was critical to everything, so thank you very much for that incredible partnership. In terms of getting and maintaining the talent we need in all these high-tech areas, it's both on the uniform side and the civilian side, and also on the industry side. On the civilian side, we have warfare centers across the nation that are really focused on making sure that we outreach to universities to get graduates interested in coming to work for the Department of the Navy on really high-tech, exciting things that are being done across cyber and a whole bunch of other disciplines. Where I think we see more challenges, as you point out, is on the retention side, where there are attractive opportunities. Once you've worked in this incredible environment of innovation and moving things forward, you're in demand. And so we are competing for talent, and I'd love to work with you on some initiatives in that front, too.
Thank you. Ma'am.
Senator, we have similar programs to our colleagues with targeted bonuses for some of these high-tech areas, also university programs. And we are doing a workforce study across our force to include civilians specifically aimed at that cyber talent that is also very hard to keep. So I appreciate the opportunity to work with you on that.
Yeah, I really believe in some of the bills I have out there we've discussed. I'd love to work with you all on this, how non-traditional cyber reserve models based on the reserve a model that you already have can help people who have advanced degrees and long-term experience in these very specific fields that can really potentiate what we do to defeat our adversaries. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Rosen, and I want to thank the panel for your excellent testimony.